Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Froggy Friday, the first Froggy Friday of 2025. How exciting is that? Who would have thought, eh? And today we have a wonderful program for you to listen in on, for you to be a part of, for you to join in, for you to experience as we open up to 2025. And so we're going to go ahead and begin, as we always do, with an opening prayer with a spiritual mind treatment. Kareth.
Okay. So join me. This is what I know, and I invite you into this knowing of what is true. The one life that is the ebb and flow of every activity seen and unseen. It's the creative force at the back of all life, that which I know as God, eternal, ever freely giving of itself. And I know that the music, the love, the message that is shared in this Froggy Friday service allows the power of love to flow through each and every one of us. We are the embodiments of the divine, and we are whole, confident, and filled with vitality. And as we open ourselves up to new and wonderful experiences and opportunities, we allow that which is at the core of our truth to emerge. And with a heart filled with gratitude, I release this prayer to that which is in its nature and ability to make it so. I let go and let God, and so it is.
And so it is.
Yes, it is.
I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know.
So I now invite you to set in. As you do so, feel free to close your eyes if you wish and start becoming aware of your breath as it enters in and out of your body. As you are inhaling and exhaling, and there is some thoughts of negativity that have been accumulated in your mind. Stay with this breath, focusing on the feeling of deep peace. Three times. As you are inhaling and exhaling, and you feel you have accumulated feelings of negativity, stay with this plate 3 times, focusing on the feeling of deep peace. Now, you can bring your attention to these contemplations. I know that I am not limited to anything that has happened or by anything that is now happening. I am a free soul. I know that I am not limited to anything that has happened or by anything that is now happening. I am a free soul. Contemplate that for 3 minutes. I know that I am not limited to anything that has happened or by anything that's now happening. I am a free soul.
And so it is. And so it is.
So it is.
Now you can
So
open your
it's
eyes, bring your
30.
attention.
So it is.
So it is.
So just take a moment and just bring yourself back to this time and this space, to Froggy Friday. My name is Reverend Pat, and I am a minister in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada, just up the road a piece from where our spiritual directors live, Reverend Barb and Reverend Gwen. And I'm delighted to be here today. If you're wondering where Reverend Barb is, it's all good. It's all good because she is traveling today as she makes her way back to snowy, snowy, cold Canada from a wonderful, relaxing, and rejuvenating vacation, some time off in Mexico. So she is traveling today, so that is why she's not here with us today, but she's here with us in the spirit, of course, of course. And we are very blessed today to have Reverend Catherine Cardinal with us, who is the chairperson, I guess, of the board of directors for CSL Kenya. And I just want to share, Karen, I'm gonna call you out a little. Karen and I were talking just before we started today, and Karen said that the first time that she read the title of today's talk, she read it as Making Space for IT. So she thought the talk was going to be all about technology and social media and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll see if that's what if that was the vision, the idea, the thought that came to Reverend Catherine as she came up for the title "Making Space for It" or IT. So let's give a warm welcome and a show of hands to Reverend Catherine. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Reverend Pat, for that kind introduction. And that's a really good segue into, is it IT or is it it? But I will come back to that in a moment. But that I did wonder at one point if people might think that, but really it is about the big IT, which is that thing itself, God, spirit, joy, whatever we want to choose to call it. I also want to thank Kareth and Nancy and Alfred for setting us up so well today and allowing us to access that thing that we call it sometimes, God's spirit within, the divine presence within us, because that really is what this teaching is all about. And so as we talk today about making space for it, it's about what is it in our life that we value, that we want to create more of, that we're learning and deepening and growing in our consciousness. And it is all fundamentally about this thing called spirit, God, that is all that there is. In January, traditionally, our centers in North America and some others around the world as well will often speak to the first 60 pages of the textbook. And if you don't have a textbook, I encourage you, there's some in the office, to be able to get a textbook. I think most people that have been in class would have one. The first 60 pages, it's not even the first chapter, it's the introduction to the book. And those 60 pages really encapsulate the whole teaching that Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes then continues to take 500 more pages to talk about in many different ways, to be able to describe it in many different ways. But if you happen to be short on time or need a refresher or just need to deepen something in the moment, I encourage you to go to those 60 pages and read them and meditate upon them. And it can be the grounding, and it is the foundation of this teaching. So those 60 pages include 4 little mini sections within the introduction: the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it from your Science of Mind text. Oh, and I had a page number noted, and then I just turned it when I went to that page. So look at that. I'll have to find that later in my talk. So what I want to do is really talk a little bit about making space for spirit in our lives, to be able to create that vision, those intentions that we may be setting. Traditionally, also at the beginning of the year, we often set intentions for ourselves. We kind of have some time over the holiday period to be with friends and family, and hopefully we get a bit of downtime to be able to reflect on our past year and consider our upcoming year and think about where we would like to go with our life, because we have that ability to co-create the experience that we would like to have and to co-create the experiences in our life as well when we are focused and can set the intention. So I have a story that I'd like to share with you. And this story has been written by somebody that's from Nashville, Tennessee, or she at least speaks occasionally at the Unitarian Church in Nashville, Tennessee. So please join me or listen to this story. Once there was a wise woman. Her name was Athenirva, which is actually a mashup name of Athena and Minerva. As you can see, I struggle with that name, which is the Greek and Roman goddesses of wisdom. So because I'm having trouble with the pronunciation, I've opted to change her name today for the purpose of our story to Athena, so that I don't have to struggle with the name the whole story. So Athena is a wise woman, and she would travel from town to town in her country, spending a few days, maybe a week in each town. People would come to her with difficult problems or arguments that they were having with others, and she would help them find their way towards satisfying answers. One day, when she entered one of the towns on her route, Athena heard a lot of arguing. She looked and saw a group of people in a very heated discussion. One person called out, "Athena, come here. We need your wisdom." Athena approached the group, and the person who had called her said, "I've been telling people who and what God is, and they keep saying I'm wrong. I'm worried about them. Help them see what's right, Athena." "Well," she said, "what have you told them?" "I told them there is one true God who loves and cares for us, hears our prayers, and commands us to love one another." And Athena said, "You are correct." "What?" said the others. "No, that can't be right." Then one of them said, "I believe there's a God, all right, a God who created the universe, established all the laws governing it, set it going, and then left. God has no interest in the affairs of humanity. It's up to us to make this world the place we want it to be." And Athena said, "You are correct." Then a third person said, "I believe there are many gifts. There are many gods and goddesses. They are part of my worship of all nature and the cycle of it." And Athena said, you might guess, "You are correct." Then a fourth person chimes in. "I'm not sure at all if there is even a God," said the fourth. "I see a divine spark in everything and everybody, but maybe that's just part of human consciousness." And Athena again said, "You are correct." "Well, I don't believe there's a God at all," says the last person, "but I am truly awestruck when I think of the mystery of the creation of our universe and how it came to be. I believe it's my responsibility to leave my corner of the world better than I found it." And again, Athena said, "You are correct." At this point, the whole group, everyone was very confused. "But how," they said, "how can we all be correct when we all have different ideas of what God is or isn't?" "Yes, you all have different visions, but each of these visions can lead you to love and care for one another, and this wonderful part of creation we call Earth. And this is the correct vision, however you label it." And as Athena left, the people in that group agreed that they didn't need to argue about who was right. They needed to work together to make the world they wanted. I think that story really encapsulates a lot of what we teach, that God is in everything, is as everything. And it really does remind us that all the different perspectives make up this thing that we call God. We know that we have the opportunity to deepen our own experience of this idea of God in our own lives. And as we deepen that experience and our own understanding of what it is, then we have the opportunity to be more aligned with it, to use it in the form of the law in our lives, to co-create things more in alignment with who we truly are and what our divine nature is. So our divine nature, as many of you will know and remember, are things like life, love, power, light, peace, beauty, and joy. We also often call it things like abundance and wholeness. And all of these things are these aspects of it. You'll also notice that Ernest Holmes sometimes calls God it a lot. He gets away from that gender of this thing, because something that is as limitless and everywhere present and all-knowing gets limited when we start to label it with some of these names. So I would like to share a reading from the Science of Mind textbook, and it is from 294. It's a quote that I really like, and you often can hear, or you may have heard a quote about the atmosphere of our own thinking. So the atmosphere of our own thinking is really, really important and ties into this idea of what it is. So this is from the Science of Mind book from Ernest Holmes. Thought can attract to us that which we first mentally embody, that which has become a part of our mental makeup, a part of our inner understanding. Every person is surrounded by a thought atmosphere. This mental atmosphere is the direct result of his or her conscious and unconscious thought, which in its turn becomes the direct reason for and the cause of what comes into our lives. Through this power, we are either attracting or repelling. Through like attracts like, and it is also true that we may become attracted to something that is even greater than our previous experience by first embodying the atmosphere of our desire. So how do we do this? When we are immersed in experiences in life, either external or internal, we are creating our experience. And we have that conscious opportunity to be able to be intentional about that. So sometimes we don't even realize that we're immersed in this thought atmosphere. We go about our daily business, and when we're at work or at school or out shopping or even out for a walk in a park or on the street, we are immersed in external things that are impacting our thought atmosphere. As well, we have the opportunity to impact our own inner thoughts and our inner atmosphere, but that inner dialogue that is always happening within our minds. And we have choice in that, even though sometimes when we first come to this teaching, we think we don't have choice in it. We absolutely have choice around our inner thought atmosphere. So how can we make space to create more and a bigger and a deeper experience of what it is in our life, about the divine nature? My question to you is, what are you immersed in? The first step on anything is to recognize where we are at any point in time. And if we are immersed like fish in water that don't even recognize that they are sometimes immersed in things, if we are immersed in things or an experience or an atmosphere that we're not even recognizing that isn't for our highest and best, the first step is to become conscious of that, whether it's external to us or our internal thought process. So how do we do that? We teach about this practices, and we teach spiritual practices all the time that allow us to become more conscious and aware of our own atmosphere, of our own thinking. The many programs that we offer here at the Center for Spiritual Living Kenya provides opportunities for those, for that deepening, for that learning, for that growth, for the opportunity to be immersed so that we can immersed in the experience more and more often, so that we don't even need to consciously think about it. It just becomes who we are. So the question is, how do we create that space? So, for example, I haven't been able to come to Froggy Friday for quite a long time, and often I want to. And Reverend Barb had asked me a few times if I'd be able to speak last year, and I don't think I spoke at all. I think the last time I spoke to you as a group and us as a group was actually at the conference, because coming back from the conference, my work life got to be unbelievably and crazy busy. And that became my thought atmosphere for a very long period of time. And as the year continued, I really needed to start to set some boundaries up again to allow my experience to be much more in alignment with what I wanted to be and to have. So when Reverend Barb asked me early in December about today's date and speaking, I'm like, oh, I'd like to do that. My first thought went to, oh, will I even be able to be off away from work? And I quickly looked at my calendar and thought, well, at the beginning of the year, we usually have a little bit of spaciousness. There wasn't anything in my calendar yet. It was early enough that I could block it off and took the day off. That's one of the ways of being intentional for me. Yours might be different, but being intentional about what it is that I want to have and make space for in my life. So I made that space by making a commitment, by putting it into my calendar and making sure that I could be here today. And so that created a bit of a vacuum. And of course, sometimes when we create and we're playing or we're setting a new intention again. So one of my intentions for this year is really creating more spaciousness in my life. Sometimes little bumps show up that, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure? I did have a couple of things that I needed to do for my work earlier this morning, customers, escalations and things like that needed to be dealt with. But I was able to still stay focused and not give up on my intention. So that's kind of an external piece, but it started with my intention internally as I'd been talking for the whole last quarter of last year, like literally from September, to people in my office, to my manager, to my colleagues. We need to have more time. We need to relax this. We need to figure something out. So I'm not only doing it within my own mind, I'm speaking it out loud. And so when I, booked time, people honored that as well. So what might that be for you in your life experience? Where would you like to create more space for those things that you value? It can be more time for your spiritual practices, making more space for it, God, spirit, divine. But can also be more space for those things that bring us joy, more connection, more learning, more reading, more going for walks in nature, spending more time with our family or friends, whatever that might be. And sometimes it starts with as short as a time as I'm going to do a 2-minute deep breathing exercise in the bathroom to allow myself a little bit of spaciousness. It can start that simply. One of the great tools we have is spiritual mind treatment, as you know. And if you practice the 7-step treatment where it has the release step in it, that release step is really important to be able to allow ourselves to release those things that we may be consciously or unconsciously holding on to that might be holding us back from our full expression of who and what we are, and for our full expression of what it is that we want to create in our lives and how we want to show up and how we want to be expressing in the world. Sometimes we're not even aware of what that inner thought process is. And so by doing our spiritual practices, that helps us. But that idea of release in treatment can create that vacuum of space within us, even in our unconscious, to allow that truth to come forth in our experiences of life. I know one of the programs that happens monthly is the visioning program led by Patrick. And visioning is that great way to give ourselves that gift of being able to listen deeply to that which wants to be emerged, to be able to listen and deepen and continue to further our own visions in our own lives. And when we know what that is, and sometimes it might be really big, or we have no idea how that might show up for ourselves, or we have no concept within our own experience of how it's even possible, that release can actually allow space in our inner consciousness to be able to allow that thing to show up. Of course, there's things we can do in our external worlds as well. So, you know, for me in my external world, I actually had to put it in my calendar. I had to block it off so people wouldn't book me. That's an external piece that allowed me then to be here today. That external piece can be other things. Sometimes we have to clear clutter, or we have to make time, or we need to commit. Whatever we need to do in our external world to help support that inner vision is possible for us when we choose to commit to ourselves to make space for that which we value. When our minds are full, it gives us the opportunity to release that which is no longer serving us. And there is some power in that release. Sometimes when we do it, if you're doing treatment with someone, you can feel that sense of relief and release right physically in your body. That's the power of that experience in that moment. This allows our intentions to come forth. And as we do this, then it allows us more time and space to focus our practices on those things that we would like, our affirmations, our spiritual work, and then letting go of, and again, releasing some of those things that show up. In my world, it's that busyness and that stress that comes with it. It might be fear, it might be anger, it might be pain, it might be concern about what someone's going to think for us. Releasing that in either our physical and our mental atmosphere does create this space in our experience of life. So we all have gifts. We all have the gift of this teaching, of this community. We have the gift of so many programs and classes and facilitators that can help us be immersed in this kind of thinking on our path. And the action that each of us can make is, do we commit to this? Do we commit ourselves to this? Do we give ourselves this gift? And the way we do that is by choosing and saying yes. So we also have the gift because we know we can choose. We know we can choose to make space for it, for God, for spirit in our life. And we have this community that can help us be immersed and support us when we're going through the little bumps in the road. This community is a safe, sacred sanctuary for all of us to explore this teaching, to explore our own nature, to explore our ideas of God, whatever we choose to call it, to explore our relationship with life, and to explore our own experience within that relationship of life. This community gives us the gift to make space for it and for each other, and to make the world a better place. So I encourage us all to say yes. And I ask you, what will you make space for today? Namaste.
Well, congratulations on everyone making space for today and being here and showing up. And I think Reverend Catherine kind of did that whole beginning of the book, like the introduction before the book actually starts, and just a wonderful reminders, right? Because we all know this stuff, right? We're all, immersing ourselves in this. But one of the wonderful blessings of coming to Froggy Friday every couple of weeks is to get that reminder, to get re-energized, to get refocused, I know everybody heard something in what Reverend Catherine was saying that reminded you, right, of what you need to do in your own personal life, in your own personal experience, right, to have that space, right, to have that intention, to be conscious, to be aware. And it is so easy just to fall into the routine of life, right? The routine of work or whatever it might be. It's just so easy to do that because it's so familiar with us. And what can happen is that with practice, it can become easy to consciously make space, to consciously set intentions. So thank you very much, Reverend Catherine, for sharing that insight. And when you mentioned the page in the textbook, I grabbed my textbook, and that section that you read, at some point, I never date when I highlight stuff, but at some point I had already highlighted that section. So at some point in some class or when I was reading it or something, it also spoke to me, right? That whole idea of our thought atmosphere. What's going on in our thought atmosphere, as we're walking down the street or even as we're doing a spiritual mind treatment. So thank you so much for sharing that. Does anyone else have any comments that they would like to make or a question or something? This is your time. Okay. So what I noticed is that that earlier we generally sing that song that kind of brings us all together, and I think that it would be appropriate to sing that song now because again, that song for me is a wonderful reminder, right, of one people, and I'm going to call on Nancy to lead us in that song. You are welcome to unmute if you want to and join in. I will put the words up on the screen in a moment. And I'm going to honor and bless you with me muting myself because you don't want to hear me singing. But I will be singing, but just not so that you can hear it. So I'm just going to put up this the screen. I'm gonna have to go back is one screen here. There. Well, silly me. No, I'm going to stop share. And I'm going to find the words and then I'm going to put them up and as Nancy's getting ready to share with her beautiful voice. Oh. Are you good, Nancy?
Yes,
And
I am.
everyone else who would like to join in, feel free as Nancy starts us off.
Okay, here we go. We are one people, one strong heartbeat, just one spirit shining bright within us all. We are part of one another, born to love each other. When it's all said and done, we are one. Mudhoni?
We are one people, one strong heartbeat, just one spirit shining bright within us all. We are part of one another, born to love each other. When it's all said and done, we are one. When it's all
said and done, we are one.
Woo!
Thank you so much. That was great. And just imagine in a couple of months or a little less than a couple of months, you will have the opportunity to sing that in person, in the flesh with Reverend Barb. I'm sure you will have more than one opportunity to do that. So that's great. One of the things that we like to do is offer an opportunity for a little short spiritual session with one of our practitioners. So if you have something going on in your life that you would like to release, or that you would like to even affirm, some good thing that's going on that you want to affirm, if you put your hand up or put your name in the chat there, we will make sure that you get matched up with someone today. Karen, would you like to talk about the classes that are coming up, the ones that you are doing? I mentioned earlier that you're on mute. I mentioned earlier that there is a discovery class that is beginning January the 18th. It's for 4 weeks. So if you know of someone that is curious, that is some kind of a seeker that is looking to try to understand life and the purpose of life and have it all make sense, please encourage them to reach out to Nancy and participate in the discovery class. And then you know what's going to happen after they do that, don't you? The same thing that happened to you. Then they're going to start signing up for classes before you know it. And we already have some folks that have expressed interest. But in addition to the discovery class, there is also some other classes that are coming up, which Karen will speak to.
Well, we're really excited because it ties in directly with the talk this morning of your mental environment and atmosphere that you're walking around with. So if the class is named Open to Possibilities, you know immediately that we are living with a statement that leads us. What if it all goes right? Because so often that we collect that little cloud of problems around us. But what if there's a sun shining somewhere? What if we start moving into that? Will it change our lives? And of course it does, because when you open to imagination and wisdom, things have to change, and they change for a very powerful opening into possibilities. That will be on Mondays, and on Thursdays will be a treatment class that Michelle and I will be facilitating easily. And I don't think that there's times or exact start dates on any of this yet, because that all has to be set up. But it's going to be an exciting class, because treatment is the powerhouse, the tool that leads us into, wait a minute, this is the problem. I see something else happening. There's a possibility. I know God is all there is. And if God is all there is, God is all I am. And in the process that God is all I am, then this has to be an opportunity to opening to that whole process also. So the treatment class is another powerful class. And I think there's something else that Michelle has up her sleeve called Conscious Loving. And it should be a powerful class too. So those are the 3 that I know that are coming up.
Well, and as I mentioned, there's going to be discovery class, and then what follows discovery class is foundations. So that will happen. There'll probably be about a week break, and then foundations will begin with Reverend Claire and myself facilitating that. And that's a longer session, because it's 12 weeks altogether, but it really gets people immersed. And even if you've taken foundations before, or if you've taken any of the other classes and it comes back up again, you are welcome to join for a second time or a third time or a fourth time, because every time you take a class, even if the material is basically the same, you have already changed. You have already grown. You are going to have a whole new perception, perspective, an awareness, an aha, right? That will take place during the course of that class. I don't know about the other facilitators, but I know every time I have an opportunity to facilitate and read through the material, I gain new awareness and new insight. And I've heard many other facilitators express that as well. So you are welcome to join that. I see that Anastasia has raised her hand, so I'm assuming that she would like to linger a little bit after we're done here and have a session with one of the practitioners. Do one of the practitioners want to volunteer, or otherwise I get to choose? But is somebody feeling like on fire and they're ready to do prayer. If you just let me know that, I'll have you assigned or put in a room, I guess, not really assigned, put in a room to have that experience with Anastasia. Kareth, you're available?
Yes, I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. And Mathoni, are you wanting a prayer session? Or you were offering to? Okay. So now we need a second volunteer. Who would like to be that second volunteer?
James is ready.
Okay, James is ready. Okay, cool. All right. So one of the things about the Center for in Kenya and all of the centers around the world is that we are all like self-sustaining. We all oh, I'm going backwards instead of, there we go. We are all self-sustaining. And one of the things, there are some universal laws that are happening all of the time. And one of those laws is the law of circulation, right? And so as we support CSL Kenya with our time, with our intention, right? We can also make a choice to share some of our financial good with our community to keep things going, to provide, like, just think about that teen camp. Any of you that had any connection with the teen camp, or even if you just looked at the videos that were on Facebook and stuff like that, right? Like that takes some financial effort to pull all of that together. So I'd offer to you to repeat this affirmation with me about your financial good and your financial energy and your willingness to share it with your community. So I'm going to say the first one and then invite you to unmute. Everybody get themselves unmuted. This is one, there's no singing involved in this. It's just speaking and setting that intention. So I am filled with the energy of abundance.
I
I'm
am
filled with the energy of abundance.
Abundance.
I am willing to share my financial good with my spiritual community.
I
I
am
am
willing
to share my financial good
financial
with my
good
spiritual community.
community.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it
And
is.
so it is.
So I will set up the prayer rooms for James and Kareth and Mathoni and Anastasia. And as I'm doing that, I would invite Nancy to do our closing.
Okay, join me as I give gratitude for each and every one of us here today. I am thankful for this community. I am thankful for this time that we share together, and for the learning and for the insights and for the expansion of consciousness. I do know that nothing in our conscious or unconscious mind can hinder the good that is constantly unfolding in all the areas of our lives. And until we meet again, I release this, I let go and let God. And so it is.
And
so it
so
is.
it is.
So it is.
And so
Thank
it
you,
is.
everyone.
Thank
And
you.
the rooms are set up.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. So nice to see everybody here.
Thank
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Okay.